Oh, unless, wait a minute. Hello, future people on the internet. Welcome to the Insight Sharing Workshop with the DAOs Cardano Challenge Team, and graciously hosted by the Catalyst School. Today's date is June 7th. It's the early afternoon UTC. You are tuning in from somewhere, possibly YouTube, and you may have clicked on this to think about insights into DAOs. We have about around 10 folks here from Project Catalyst who are have knowledge and experience with DAOs, and for the next amount of time, we are going to have a conversation about the DAO structure. We've heard from Dan Kimball of the free os.io. We also have a collaborator and co-founder of the free os.io, Jerome Kelsey, is here. The challenge team, Gustavo, Harsha, myself, Newman, are here, and there's a few other folks on the call. And so we've been talking about governance and participation, democratic participation. And what I think maybe I'll start off this next question with the economic and it's not the economic and the governance, because it seems like that's the distinction of DAOs, is that they have some type of political voting type of thing, and then a governance and economic, so that you can get a coin, but you can also vote on policies and things. Would you agree or disagree that that is sort of the thing that makes a DAO, not just a group of folks?
Yeah, I would say definitely. I mean, most blockchain platforms have been centered around, some sort of ownership of value. And so that tends to be the type of primitive that DAOs work within. So, like, for instance, most DAOs have some sort of token that either represents governance or represents value, and sometimes those are both. The token can often equal voting rights like shares do in a corporation. It's a very common way of structuring a DAO. Now, I'm not sure if that's necessarily always going to be the way that a DAO operates. One of the ways that we've been looking at this problem is to try to make sure that one person equals one vote, and it's not necessarily tied to owning tokens. Now, but at the same time, the free OS economic system, it's an economic system. So what we do instead is we have one person equals one vote, and the result of their vote gives them the tokens, and they get an equal distribution as long as they are all participating equally every week. So we're looking at it through a little bit of a different lens. But I can tell you that, designing a one person, one vote DAO is not very easy in the current blockchain climate, because there's not a lot of tools that really allow, proof of, humanness or proof of life in the blockchain, global ecosystem on any platform. So it's a very tricky problem to solve at the moment.
Just that idea of proof of life, that someone can't do the Sybil attack of just creating a bunch of alter egos, personalities, participants. Is that's sort of like an early challenge of this iteration of the DAO framework?
I would say so. At least, some DAOs, it might make sense to be set up in a corporate kind of form where every token equals your the power of your voting. That might make
Right.
sense for certain DAOs.
And does that, yeah.
It might not make sense.
Go ahead. Let's see what our distinguished community here has to say. And one of the things, you can raise your hand and whiteboard. This is sort of things, or if there's silence, I'm basically going to put up my hand and count to 8. If there's silence for 8 seconds, then I'll jump in and try to adjust it. But I did see that Gustavo had a point, and if anybody else, like, just go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, I didn't raise my hand, but please, Bruno, I've asked already. So you can...
Oh, and that's another thing is that I can't see the hand raises. Actually, I might see if I can get back to the whole thing. I'm still sort of learning the.
I can help you to see them.
Feel free to go, Gustavo. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Actually,
and Bruno as well.
Yeah, was a question following up, Jerome, what you said about it's pretty difficult to prove identity in the blockchain sphere. But actually, I was thinking, like, if we do that right now with the voting system, elections, and the real world democracy or governance, if we can make it on the real world, why we still can't do that in the digital? Like, it's kind of why is that so difficult to have the one person, one identity, one vote in the blockchain? It's like it's more...
If I may jump in there, I think the only reason why it is possible in the real, like in the real world, the traditional world, is because governments keep track of that, and they store it in a centralized place. And yeah, and so of course they know every citizen, and they can provide people with the proof or with the security that this person really exists. But yeah, doing it in a centralized way, that's like a totally new thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree that right now I think it's probably quite difficult to get. I mean, we know like Atala Prism and all of these things, and I think Immutable. I can't remember the name of the oh my gosh, I can't remember the name. But there's another project on Cardano that's also trying to do like identity solutions, and I think those are going to be viable in the future. But probably right now, probably for the same reason that Catalyst doesn't have Atala Prism built into it or anything like that, and we're using just like a 1 1 vote system. I think it's probably because of that. But I think, yeah, even for DAOs, it makes sense in the short term to use that system. And I don't think, as long as you can create a fair distribution and you can have an engaged community, there can still be other ways that you can kind of mitigate any whales that are coming in and pushing one direction or pushing another direction, which maybe doesn't coincide with everyone else, and it's just kind of a one person, one idea, and they're just running with it because they have a majority vote. So I think that there can still be other implementations that maybe don't rely on identity, but rely on, maybe merit or, how engaged you are, or some other metric within crypto that we can kind of engage with.
I actually completely agree with that. Sometimes I think one person, one vote is not necessarily the way to go, because a lot of times it becomes a popularity contest, and that might not be the best way to do it at times. And also, like, the biggest group always wins, and the rest of the groups, the ideas of the rest of the groups are just like pushed away. So we'll have to figure out like slightly more nuanced mechanisms of governance. And that's why I prefer to call it consensus rather than just governance.
Go ahead. Yeah, that's wonderful. Bruno, your hand's still up if you want to follow up with that. And then I see that Oman, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the traditional world, it's the winner clearly is a democratic model where there's one person, one vote. But I think because you said like a nuanced way of making it better, I can imagine that, like, if you have a nuanced weighting, not I have 10,000 more data than you, so my vote is 10,000 times more worth than yours. But maybe slightly dampen it. So maybe like you have 100 times more, so your vote is twice as much worth, or something like that. Maybe that is an interesting way of playing around with it. Yeah, it's
Could that not also
tough
influence people to just like split it into many small wallets and try and vote that way? Because yeah, they have a lot of ADA, and I don't know, it's probably worthwhile if they have a proposal to maybe do it like that. I don't know. That there's probably a good reason why we've kept it this way for this long, but I think there could be, especially within the DAO where it's kind of a smaller community, there could definitely be things we can test that don't have such a detrimental impact as Catalyst would, because it's such a large community and so many people involved. I think if it's a small community, you can kind of test these concepts quite well, because we're probably all going to be aligned in the beginning on some of the things anyways, and it's just seeing what works as a voting mechanism and what doesn't, kind of excluding those things that don't.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I think that the testing part is really the specialness of a young community like this. Like, we have the opportunity to test things out in small groups. I know that, I mean, I'd love to see, like, so that's the question. How do we handle identity and participation to avoid the popularity contest? And I'm just summarizing the conversation so far. So we've sort of described a problem, and then maybe we have a few minutes of like, okay, what have people tried? I know that the free OS is like this direct democracy each week, and I see Dan has his hand up. Let's hear from the table in Colorado. Take it away, Colorado.
Yeah, it was. I wanted to just say, like, I know the one person, one vote is very difficult in the blockchain, and I know that it's not necessarily always a solution for every single DAO. A lot of DAOs may not want one person, one vote, and they might want to have different styles of amalgamating that type of vote and giving each person some sort of responsibility and power in a different structure. But I do think it is a little bit of a problem, because at the moment, it's such a difficult thing to do in blockchain that it takes it kind of off the table. So if you do really need one person, one vote in your design, it's a tricky thing to do. That being said, there's a lot of projects solving this issue. Sometimes the way that those projects are solving the issue, unfortunately, is on other chains. So I do feel quite strongly that cross-chain solutions might end up being part of the solution for one person, one vote, or even having very strong oracles that can take data from the real world, like identity from a centralized authority, and use it at least as a stopgap measure to allow one person, one vote until there's better decentralized means of doing so. And then also, one little aspect that Freos has is in the structure of the group building Freos. We call it Free DAO. So we're basically a DAO building a DAO. So like Dan and I belong to Free DAO. We're the development team building Freos, and Freos is a DAO for the people. One of the ways that we're looking at governance in Free DAO is to make it sortition based, so that people can apply for positions, and we get shortlisted candidates, and then we randomize to select somebody who's got the qualifications to, say, be the director of marketing or director of finance, and they've got the background in order to do it. And then on top of that, what we have is direct democracy from the Freos crew, the participants of Freos, to be the accountability layer, and they can vote out anybody who's swindling funds or just sitting around not doing anything. It's an ejection seat. So we use sortition to select the candidates. We use democracy to deselect, and that is the way that we're mitigating against the popularity contest of democracy. We don't have big expensive campaigns where people have to prove themselves and the most popular candidate wins. We get a shortlisted group of candidates where those are randomly selected. And then if those people aren't doing their jobs, then they can be deselected. So we have a very kind of streamlined, efficient governance structure that is always accountable to the people.
To give you guys a reference, I've often talked about this as qualified demarchy. I just want them to know that that's another terminology we kind of use around this kind of governance.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's actually some articles, I think you've written an article on qualified demarchy, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I also call it qualified sortition. Yeah.
Is that, am I getting the definition of sortition, the casting of lots, determination by lot selection, or appointment by lot selection by drawing lots? Is that sortition?
It's like jury duty. It's a bit like jury duty. It's one of the mechanisms we have in our current society that selects people, you know, and gives them some authority.
Right.
Is jury duty. Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect.
Another thing I think is important about this nature of sortition, but also this participatory democracy, is that in order to have direct democracies with, you know, literally millions of people, you have to have some kind of levels and coordination of kind of domain knowledge, because people who are, I mean, while you know, the nature of the crowd nature of the wisdom of the crowd is somewhat suppressed when you don't have a knowledgeable crowd. So if you can create these groups that have some domain knowledge, but yet be able to, you know, have them be qualified. That's why we call it qualified demarchy, is that these people are qualified to take decisions that maybe are kind of more specialized in a democracy or in a domain where, you know, human complexity is so enormous that we have to have that kind of specialization. Yet we don't want to have, you know, what we do now is we elect our representatives and we basically give away our power. So I think the point here is that we want to have groups to identify their qualifications and give the people who are qualified to have the power, give them the power.
Excellent. I am going to pause and we'll do another little recap. It's been another 20 minutes or so.
Sorry, we have Kevin and Bruno's hands.
Yep, that's why I'm gonna
Okay.
send it right over to Kevin just so that we just get just pause. And you know, what we've been talking about is this the idea of participation, reputation. I learned a new word, sortition, and now and that's wonderful. So everybody jump back on the train. And Kevin, you've got your hand raised for a minute, so thank you for being patient. Go ahead and unmute and ask away or comment away.
Okay, hi guys. For some reason I can't see the faces. All I can see is this whiteboard.
Okay, I can't figure out how to take the whiteboard off, but there should be a view button. And pardon the sort of Zoom stuff. There should be some way to adjust your screen, because that's not something that we determine here.
Okay, I'll try it again. But I actually had a question. Previously, I voted on snapshot.org. I was wondering if there's anything similar in the Cardano space.
Excellent question. Gang out there.
Simon would be good to answer this type of question.
Hey guys, I've just been listening. And I know we started on it because it's a pretty simple app that functions off chain. And I know that there's a developer, DZ Codes, who started on a fork of it. But then we were told that Ada Handle was doing it, but recently we reached out to them and I think they kind of put that to the side. and we might have picked that back up. I'll look in the ADAO GitHub repo, and it's GitHub/ADAO community. There might be something in there because I know we use.
No, I actually I created a fork, but only in my own, and I didn't do much work. I did some research there, and yes, you are right. Like, it's a off-chain solution. You are basically storing signatures to the database, so it's not really like decentralized solution that much. But yeah, it can be used with like multi-sig DAOs, but it won't actually do the effect, and it doesn't actually secure anything. It's just voting tool with signatures.
Right. So like a central authority or that specific DAO would have to hold this data somewhere at a centralized database.
I'd like to ask, given that there's a lot of work on decentralized identities within the Cardano ecosystem, if there's somebody here or someone we could invite at some point on the Atala Prism program to try to identify better what kinds of digital identities are being prepared so that we can kind of coordinate with this notion that we need to have this proof of humanity aspect for all DAOs, not just Cardano.
I have a contact that completed the Atala Prism course. I can reach out to him and see if he has any information on when, most of that functionality will be live, for open use. So I think right now it's only, I'm not super familiar with it, but I think it's only for, people who partner directly with them and, they get onboarded through their program or whatever. So I think once it is open source, then anyone can just jump on, and that's why they have the course, the Pioneers course, so that people can know how to implement these things. And that contact I have for Empower. So if I can reach out to him and see if he has any dates and stuff for that, then I can inform you guys wherever suits you best, or bring him into these calls if he'd be down to chat to us.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that we should bring other people in on that. I've gone through a little bit of the Atala Prism program, so I understand a little bit about it, but I think we should find some authorities, some people who are maybe from IOHK or somebody who can give us some progress report on where things are and where things are going, because I think they have some directions and suggestions about which direction we should take the Atala Prism program. I know they've been doing a lot of work, for example, in Ethiopia with issuing the digital identities to university students. But I'd like to take that a little further to understand exactly what kind of generalized purpose we can have with digital identities, so that it's not just about university students, or it's not kind of bespoke identities, but is more of a general purpose proof of humanity.
Yeah, I think there's definitely someone you can reach out to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I was gonna see, Bruno, your hand is still up. Kevin, did that sort of help with this idea from snapshot.org? It seems like it's something that Ada Handle was doing. TCT answered, and we had DZ Codes come through. Yeah. It got us into this. It got us into this identity. Help me as somebody beginning to understand this idea of an off-chain, on-chain DAO component. If that sort of helps to kind of bring that sort of conversation around. Yeah, go ahead, TC.
Yeah, I mean, I could sort of give a little insight. I think we've seen, and we're starting to see even more ways of like groups, DAOs, doing some sort of voting. I think we're going to see a lot of different ways that's done, whether it's on-chain or off-chain. But I think what becomes really difficult is is it like affecting something with those votes? I think that's going to be one of the hardest hurdles to get over. How do we, allow those votes to actually affect something, whether it's spending from the treasury or, you know, removing some kind of permissions or adding some kind of permissions. You know, I think that,
Permissions. Like, what do you
yeah.
mean by permissions? So yeah, like it would be like, because this is good, because I think the general idea is voting, because that's a key component as far as economic power and then policy power, political power, voting power. And yeah, voting on what we spend, but then there's like voting on policy, like, okay, I'm on a sailing club and we vote to like when we do our races, or vote to, you know, who's in charge next and makes decisions, or etc. Is that what you mean by like?
Definitely. I mean, it could be something as simple as a role removal,
Okay.
or granting a role in a Discord server. I think, yeah.
Yep. I've seen that, sure. And that can be very contesting, you know, that can be very difficult to do, because, you know, popularity contests and, you know, like, oh, we're not going to know what, like, as far as like open voting, it's just like, who doesn't want me to be the moderator of this chat? And everybody's like, oh, I don't know. So like privacy is a big deal, right? Like,
oh yeah, it's really difficult. Like just the other day, we had someone say that they're not going to be around to contribute as much in a DAO. And it's like, yeah, we're all a little confused about how do we go about adjusting the Discord roles and permissions. You know, I can, you know, technically I can do it, but I probably shouldn't. It should be some sort of system or steps that have to be taken to do that.
all right. Bruno, I see that your hand is raised. Are you following on with this topic, or are we going to another thing?
I think I'm following on. It was
Okay.
following on from what we were talking about before, but I think this is definitely related, because it's more,
Cool.
I'm thinking around the roles and stuff.
All right.
I think roles is super important, like within a community, whether it be qualified or whether it just be something that you're focused on, because I don't think everyone should be focused on everything, you know. I think there should be focused votes within sectors of the community and roles within the community. So people within this role vote on certain aspect that only affects people within that role, essentially, because not everyone is going to be doing everything, you know. The people who are programmers, you know, within the community, they might have a channel where they communicate and they, you know, think of ideas, and I feel like their vote would be one thing. And for you to be going into that channel and be participating in those votes and getting that role, I feel like you would need to pass some sort of test of your knowledge and test of your, maybe not even just your knowledge, but also your intentions. Like, well, why are you going into this channel? Do you want to learn more? Do you want to be more like involved? Like, I think we need to kind of background check people and understand, are people serious about getting involved with this topic? Because yeah, I feel like, yeah, there needs to be some sort of sense check if people are going into more, I don't know, to a certain degree. I feel like people need to understand what they are voting about. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable voting on something and having the same voting power as someone else who's, you know, super knowledgeable about, you know, programming in Plutus and Haskell, and me having the same vote as that person. At this current stage, I wouldn't say that, but maybe within a few years, if I grow my understanding, then I can actually like increase my voting power, because I'm actually understanding something and I'm into that topic. But if I'm just someone who's kind of like, oh yeah, I can jump into this channel and vote and I get rewarded, cool, yeah, I'll go there and I'll vote for something. You know, I'm not just gonna go to every channel and vote because I have the ability to. I should have like a step that I have to take to get into that role and be able to vote in that channel, for example. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. I'm kind of waffling. Sorry, guys.
Bruno, that was wonderful. That was really, really good. Holy crap, because you said a lot. You said like, because it's kind of it's kind of cringy to me, because of like, well, you have to have a test to vote. And it's just like, boy, that sounds a lot like disenfranchisement. But I think the way you frame it, it's just like, yeah, why would someone who doesn't know, and especially if they're incentivized just to vote for voting's sake, I just punch a bunch of buttons, I get some money. But then I think you said another thing: as you grow your understanding, then you grow your voting power, and that's sort of I'm vamping for a little bit. Yeah.
I think, sorry, just to add to that, maybe that's like a really good point. Education should be like a core component to this, where it's not just you have a test, but you also have educational material to be able to, you know, actually achieve this that's provided to you. So if you want to become knowledgeable on the subject and you're in this community, you can become knowledgeable on it. You have this kind of resources for you. I feel like that should be a crucial part of it, because I'm with Empower. You can see maybe by my logo. So we have like multiple roles within our ecosystem, such as constructors, and there's constructors in Africa at the moment that we can use, but there's a lack of constructors at the same time. So we have an actual educational program to get more constructors on board and have more people within that role within our ecosystem, because it's a vital role. So it's kind of like, we're not making it so it's like, oh, it's exclusive, only constructors can be in this role. And if you're not you can actually become a constructor. You just got to pass this educational material. And if you're successful and you have a good proposal at the end of it, then you can be part of this role. I feel like that is more of the line that I wanted to get to, rather than, oh yeah, you can't, if you don't understand this, you can't participate. We'll provide you the resources to participate, because to gain this understanding and then participate, if that makes sense.
That's great.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I'm curious about, because I'm probably going to participate as a community advisor, or sorry, I didn't put up my hand there, by the way. But
No, go ahead, Simon. We'll get to Dan next.
all right, I'm going to participate as a community advisor or a proposer, probably, in the challenge. So is there anything I should know when I'm going to participate as one of those roles, or any other role, maybe? Like, yeah, I don't know. Is there anything you guys think I should
Yes,
know?
vote for open source, vote for a DAO, provide great reviews there, build the network.
Wait a minute, Simon, ask the question again. Exactly. I'm like, as a CA. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was asking, if as a CA or a proposer, is there anything I should know? I should know about the challenge. Anything I should be careful of or mindful of?
Okay. Yeah, that brings us to so we'll summarize with this voting power and education and sort of DAO in generals. But as far as so there's a CA or that's out there, like what should CAs know about the proposals in this challenge? This is a sort of a shift. I see that Dan has his hand raised. You want to jump in on this this thread of the conversation, or do you want to go fold back? Because I think what Simon's asking is important for the general audience out here. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I think we have something to say, but also regarding the CA thing, I just have heard that they've changed the name. It's now Proposal Assessor. Instead of CA, it's now PA. So we should probably start using that terminology.
Yes, we do. I'm a PA. Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to go for it.
Yeah, I was going to respond to Bruno's comments earlier. What he's talking about with the constructors having the skills, that's a little bit why we've designed our qualified sortition, is to have subject matter experts that are pooled together, and we can draw upon their knowledge and expertise and wisdom. Now, the funny thing about how that kind of works is, under the hood, is we have a qualifying body, and they're like a wider group, and it's so easier to get into becoming the qualifying body. And they are the ones who determine whether a shortlisted candidate or a candidate belongs in the shortlist or not. Do they actually have the skills and abilities to do that job? Are they actually a subject matter expert?
Kind of a pre-qualification before the votes.
Yeah, and they're randomly selected, and they're a little bit more, it's more of a it's more open, this qualifying body, to enter. So, you know, anybody can kind of enter that, and they become almost like an HR body filtering through resumes that get sent to be in these positions of authority. And what we do under the hood is, if the qualifying body itself is not selecting good, you know, if the members of the qualifying body are not selecting good candidates for the pool, they're also subject to being voted out of their position by the general participants of FREOS. So we have like another little filtering mechanism that, you know, helps assure a stronger likelihood that our shortlisted candidates are being selected well enough to actually be able to do their jobs.
Yeah, this is to prevent that notion of nomination. If you get a group of people that are only qualifying a certain group of nominated people, there's bias already built in. So this is a way of removing that bias, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
yeah.
To some degree, yeah. But it's basically, you know, we put this mechanism in to solve what Bruno's talking about. You know, you sometimes want somebody who's got some knowledge on the matter to be voting for proposals that affect, you know, that area of expertise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. We're coming up to the top of our hour. I want to do that little radio thing where I just refresh everybody and say that this is a conversation sponsored by the Catalyst School and represented here by Simon Sioman and the challenge team, DAOs Love Cardano, represented by myself, Newman, Dan, Gustavo, who just left, Harsha's still here, and there's still one team member who's on vacation, whose name is Aaron. And then I want to talk about you, dear listener. You possibly are someone in the ecosystem or someone searching on YouTube, and you've landed here and you're like, who are these wild people? We did introduce ourselves a little bit. I wouldn't mind, because we are part of a thing called Project Catalyst, which is a innovation and fundraising organization, DAO, on the Cardano network. And you can participate by voting for proposals. And I do want, most of the folks here have some project, and I would love if you have proposals, if you could do, you know, just like Bruno is from Empower. I think TCT, who's maybe in the chat saying he's about to leave. Yeah, he is inviting. Okay, he's taken off. Okay, TCT is taken off, but he is from a group called DAO, and I think that they have some proposals in. So if you have a proposal, you know, maybe let's start talking about that. That might be a good way to guide the conversation next. Does anybody in the chat have a proposal in our challenge that they want to address directly? And I see the Walker, who I've not met yet, has his hand raised.
Oh, I guess plan to have a proposal, right? Because it's not open yet.
Yeah, oh, right. Yeah, exactly. That they have a proposal in mind, or you're thinking about proposing. And if you, Mr. or Miss YouTube listener, if you have a proposal, obviously we're not meeting live, so you can come to our Telegram channel or Discord, or come to Project Catalyst and find one of us. We're very friendly. We'd be happy to help. Okay, we'll continue on.
Okay. So I'm building a proposal probably in this next Catalyst, and I want to receive more insights from you guys, because I have been talking with community NFT owner, and I'm developer. I'm the Bluetooth developer, and we are trying to build something for them, and to you know, manage the community and to make decisions there, you know. And I believe we could improve this scenario a bit, giving more tools to those NFT communities. And we can talk about the many kinds of NFT communities, but for the perspective, it has been a shared pain for community managers to manage communities in the centralized way, where you do not depends on someone doing something, And I have built this idea, which is the NFT community builder, and I invite you guys to share some knowledge about how NFT communities around there are building communities in a decentralized way, So thanks.
So I have a quick question about that. So is this like a tool for community building or community management?
Both things. I believe both things are really connected, and as I believe that the onboard process should be very a pleasant experience for who's building the community, in a way that we guide people that join and build the community can also manage the community and everything in the centralized way. And I believe it's really hard to do that, because we are talking about many aspects, but because we have this very defined scope, like in the NFT things, I believe there's some shared features that could attain the majority part of this tool we are trying to build. For example, if you're talking about image NFTs, things that are things that we make digital somehow, and we build a community around those NFTs. I believe there are shared things that we can build that is useful for everyone, at least for the onboard part, and for the begin in the manage part, it does not need to solve everything, but at least the most paying things,
Makes sense. So is this kind of like Discord itself, like, because Discord is pretty much like an onboarding and community management tool at this point? Are you designing something similar?
I believe Discord integration probably gonna be something very useful for those kinds of communities. For sure, some, I don't know, bot integration, something about Discord is gonna be very helpful. But for begin with, I think that something independent on Discord to allow more other kinds of communities to join would be also very useful. So I would begin with just a simple website, like a platform where you can build the community and have some web page or land page or something like that. And from there, we can begin to extend that concept for other kinds of integrations like Discord and even other kind like Twitter, because there's a lot of communities on around Twitter too. So I believe those integrations gonna be built over the time, but to begin with, a simple, like everyone should at least have one landing page, that you can send link for someone, and these people that this guy can just click there and see, okay, so to join this community, I need to join the Discord, and here's the invite link, So it's like a place where everyone go, and I believe a simple URL is the most accessible way to do that,
Say that again. A simple what?
URL is HTTP address, right?
Oh, URL, universal resource
Yeah,
locator.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, and that's kind of building on the open web, with URLs versus a Discord, which is sometimes my Discord just acts up and I'll get a Discord link and it just sends me somewhere crazy, yeah. What if, and I think this is going on in the chat right now. So if you're a whale in Cardano and you want to build your community, so my sailing club, I live on a lake and we sail, and we want to start using some of this special DAO sauce, and I don't have any Ethereum. When I was a kid, Ethereum kicked my ass. I lost a lot of money in Ethereum. And so I love Cardano because, and so, yeah, Kevin gets it. And so I want to build on Cardano. How can I do that today? Can I do that today? Can I build, until you build your tools, what options do I have?
I believe that I can say that I just seen NFT Maker is the most probably thing that is around that, but never seen another kind of tool before.
And are you doing something just like, is it similar to NFT Maker, or?
Yeah,
do they have like DAO, or do they have community organizing stuff?
Yeah, something like that.
Do.
It's a place to begin with, and I want to build an NFT collection, and I want to list this in those marketplace. But those things should be made in the decentralized way, by the community themselves. That's the DAO aspect of this thing.
Okay, cool. And it's centralized. That's the deal. Is that NFT Maker is centralized?
Yeah.
One of the things that I might pop in and add to that is, this may be a little bit divergent, but the nature of DAOs, I think, has to do with creating DAO systems, things that DAOs can adopt in order to not just like have a coin. Having a coin doesn't really help a DAO, but having an economic system, one that kind of controls and helps to manage that currency, to adopt a system for DAOs is very useful. Same thing with NFTs. An NFT marketplace that's adopted by a DAO. We need to have this kind of systems approach to adding features to DAOs that allow everybody to kind of participate in a more, it's not just adding a feature to your existing DAO, it's adding a DAO based or a system that helps control the that functionality within the DAOs.
Okay.
Because someone, I think you said something about how to build on Cardano. There's, of course, you can build these NFTs and so on, but I think there's a lot of tools on Cardano already. Like you can build on-chain code with Python and other programming languages, and there's a lot of people building communities already. I just wanted to throw that out there.
And it sounds like the DAO gang. Hey, Sean, Open Litter Map has just joined the chat, and same with Scott. That might be Ratio. But I'm curious about. I'm so bummed that. Oh, hey guys, I'm so bummed that TCT left, because it seems like he was from DAO, and I'd love to sort of get into his. And he left some stuff in the chat, so anyone, they've got a Discord, so let's make sure we're close to those guys. I think one of the things that I'd like to do, and if we don't do it here in our open group, I'd like to tell people to go to the idea scale, and we're still in the insight sharing phase, but there's 13 or so pretty good questions. I saw our resident jester, JO8N, John, would ask some really, really good questions. I hope that we all participate there and make a warm and welcome sort of group around our, the idea scale. And I think that's sometimes forgotten. I certainly was like, oh man, because I went there right in the beginning, and there was like 2 or 3 little things, but now it's jumped up to 13, and a pretty good discussion is happening on our idea scale. So that's another way that you can connect with us, other than our Telegram and Miro board. Oh yeah. So Scott, this board is the whiteboard. We don't have okay, here's another challenge team issue, is that our Miro board is only editable by the invite, and it's not editable to the public. And I think that's an issue. Does anybody know if you'll allow me to do some Harsha is going to share the link to our to our Miro and some other shared documents. I really would love to get out there, because I do see this, and you'll notice in our objectives is to build community knowledge. Like that's what I see the intention of a challenge team is. And you, dear listener, who has a ton of experience and also just brand new to DAO creation and Cardano, like your questions and your insight have a tremendous value, because it keeps us connected to what is right now. So we really want to be inclusive and get all those diverse voices, because I feel that your participation matters, that everyone's participation here matters, especially at this stage where we're doing insight sharing, where we're sort of trying to frame up the questions and figure out the areas which we can discuss. And if you'll forgive me, I'll keep the mic for just a little bit longer while you guys are formulating your questions. What we've talked about so far are identity solutions. When people vote, like this whole idea, the idea of one vote, one person, one vote, and how in this new system, new world, it can kind of get a little squirrely. We've heard from Bruno, and we've heard from TCT. Kevin was in and talked about a thing called snapshot.org. We talked about on-chain and off-chain. We talked about NFT communities. That was Walker that asked about that. So that's our reset. We've got about 45 more minutes, and I'm happy to see where the conversation takes us next. And
I hate to pop in like this, Newman.
no, go for it.
But can you just do like a brief, like a 2-minute elevator pitch on what we're doing here?
Okay. We just missed we can reset. We just reset it about 15 minutes ago. Man. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. This is a insight sharing workshop hosted, sponsored by the Project Catalyst School and the DAOs Cardano Challenge Team of Project Catalyst in the Cardano ecosystem. The goals and the objectives are to share and collect insights related to the challenge and DAOs, to build community knowledge, and to introduce people and foster collaboration. And so far we've heard from, like, I think you were here while I said that, we've heard from Bruno, who's involved with Empower, which is an African focused community. We've heard from Dan and a special guest, Jerome Kelsey of the Free iOS. There he is. He's got it on. My voice is booming out all over the world there in Colorado. And Yeah, we've got the community is here, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows that they can go to Idea Scale, where we've got a challenge and you can participate there. We also have a Miro board, which Harsha, one of the challenge team members, shared, and etc. Scott, you're sort of DAO focused. You're a community member and have some insight into this stuff.
Yeah, I'm just not part of not officially part of it or active in any DAO, I guess you can say. But
well,
yes,
you know, I think of when I introduce myself to folks at parties, at dinner parties where I go, I say that I'm working with this new kind of decentralized organization, Project Catalyst. I mean, Project Catalyst is a DAO, is it? What do you think?
I think it's aspiring to be a DAO.
yeah, I agree with Simone on that because
we're not there yet. But
there's not much equality across the roles, and you still have the hierarchy of. I mean, you'll still have a hierarchy in the DAO, so to speak. I mean, there still has to be structure, but you pretty much have one entity that's just calling the shots and Catalyst.
Yeah.
Right now, my opinion.
Hierarchy. Oh,
Can I ask a question?
Go, of course, Sean. Yeah.
Guys, Sean here. Open another map. We're also aspiring to be a DAO. And Newman, you've joined our weekly calls, and basically everybody who joins the call gets to vote. And we don't need to go on chain. We don't need people to get out their ledgers and put in their password and like register a vote yet. Maybe in the future, but like right now, we're pretty happy just like calling shots online. It's very impersonal. It's very relaxed. So does that fit into DAO governance, that model, that off-chain? Because a lot of our users have never used any crypto, right? They don't care. So how, like, we can onboard those people. That's the point of Littercoin. But how does that fit in, that kind of off-chain social governance model?
I think what I like, Sean, I appreciate the comment. I know that Jerome has got something. I think that he's formulating stuff. I'm going to vamp for just a second to get it really together. Because I think that the ideas that we are discussing now can be then sort of like fed back up through centralized channels. Like, for instance, the jury duty model, which is called sortition, could be sort of like spread out among the entire sort of community ecosystem, centralized, decentralized, small, large, national, whatever. So I think what you're asking is it's like, what are those general principles that the DAO communities that have been established for a long time, like FreeOS and the Free DAO, like what are they feeding back to just somebody starting a community or somebody that has a community that wants to use the special sauce? Take it away. No?
So are you having me take it away, or
I thought you might have something really great for us. Or Bruno, or any of the other sort of DAO, like people that have been working with DAOs and have had that in their mind for the last, that have experience.
I mean, we are actually experimenting with some. We're a DAO in formation as well on some levels. I mean, FreeOS already is a DAO, and it does have on-chain voting. So that aspect of what we're building is already a DAO, but the Free DAO structure that governs, the development of all of these tools of collaboration that we're building, that's not yet a DAO. And so we are using tools like Discord and Telegram and polls in Telegram and all of these kind of off-chain tools in the interim until we get our DAO fully built on chain. And I think it's perfectly fine for certain groups to be a decentralized organization. I'm not sure if they're, maybe they are or not autonomous, but there's a lot of overlap. And if you've got an organization that's working and you don't need anything beyond Discord or Telegram or whatever, I think it's fine to operate that way. I think it becomes trickier when you become very, very global and very, very large, and you want that transparency that is inherent in the blockchain, and that trustlessness, and the code is law, where you feel confident that when you say vote on a proposal that has a budget, it automatically gets assigned to the team, centered around that proposal and that budget, just, automatically by smart contract code. And you don't have to worry about who's actually managing the treasury and are they, are they trustworthy? You can take a lot of those worries away.
Yeah, I agree. I think that taking those worries away is a big part of building systems into DAOs. Like the FreeOS economic system is something that supports the economic resiliency of DAOs without having everybody have to reinvent their own, and the same thing with truth governance and how do you engage people, within FreeOS, you might say something about this, is that within FreeOS, we have a different model for engaging members, and that's through what we call the air claim. It's not an airdrop, it's an air claim. So you have to come as a member to engage with the community, with the DAO, but you have to participate and continuously engage. And that's where the incentives come from. That continuous engagement earns you some power in the system. So these are kinds of systematic approaches I think we need to have within DAO adoptions, such that we don't just everybody's kind of recreating their own. We find the systems that really work and then try to adopt them into the DAO, the DAO space. So we grow as, making our DAOs more resistant, independent of who creates them.
Yeah. And that's why these type of groups are great. It allows everybody to share and learn and, kind of jam together some ideas on what might work and what might not work for various different DAOs. I mean, all of this is very experimental at the moment. Get this conversation in 10 years time will probably look and sound very different than it does right now. So we've got, a few different models that we're exploring that are, probably a little bit exotic in the DAO space, using sortition, for example. I'm going to drop an idea out there because this might be useful for some people. It's a very, very new idea. I'm not even sure if Dan is aware of it yet. And we're incorporating it to one small extent in the FreeOS economic system. And by the way, it's FreeOS, like it rhymes with free us, not OS. Just to be clear on that. And so this idea is, it might be useful for some future DAOs out there that are aspiring DAOs, where if you're really worried about not having the proof of identity to make one person, one vote, one of the things that we're looking at the moment is a way to boost. You boost your vote, but you can boost your vote, you have to burn your tokens. So it means that if a whale comes along, they can come in, they can boost their vote. And if they boost their vote, it means that they're becoming less of a whale by making that sacrifice to boost their vote. Now, in the FreeOS system, what we're doing is we're allowing that to be turned on and off. So the community can vote for a switch, whether boost voting, with the boost power and how much that power represents is done by a community vote. And that one vote cannot be boosted. So maybe all the other votes can be boosted, but not that one. So they can switch it off, one person, one vote at any time if they don't like what the whales are doing. But they can also come in and say, hey, people who have a lot of financial stake in the system, then maybe they really should have a bigger say. And let's also diminish the token supply while we're at it. Let the whales kind of come in and you know, have a more powerful say for this moment in time. But by doing so, they're going to be a little bit less of a whale, and a bit more tokens will be burned at the end of this process.
Yeah, I think you all have heard me talk about this a little bit, but the notion that there's two parts of human action. One of them is deciding what to do, and the other one is, you know, just doing what we decide. And in my view of this, we need to have apply our knowledge, whether it's in qualified demarchees and groups that have the qualifications to make these decisions, but it's all based on knowledge and it's based on brain power. So this is more the one person, one vote, or collection of votes within qualified you know, groups. But then the other part of it is the execution. What are we doing? What we decide, and doing what we decide is that's where the power of the holders, the token, the you know, fungible token owners have in helping to make us do something faster. Like, it's not about deciding what to do, but it's how fast do we want to do it. So those are the kinds of I don't know, systems I think that need to be incorporated into DAOs in general, so that we can protect ourselves from whale dominance, like you're saying, you know, finding ways to incorporate these things that really work. And it's a lot of them, it's experimental at the moment, but I think we're going to discover the ones that work and the ones that don't.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I just want to acknowledge Bruno. Thanks for being here. Do you have any final thoughts? And then I want to come back to this idea of boost your vote, burn your tokens.
No final thoughts. Yeah, no, just good to speak to you all, and yeah, I need to hear these conversations, the rest of the conversation when you guys release this. So yeah,
excellent.
Thanks for having me. Cheers, guys.
All right, bye. So that is so I want you to let's stay on this for a moment, because this boost your vote, burn your tokens, the whale protection, because this I see as a system that can be adopted, you know, maybe in Project Catalyst. They could say, oh, there's a way to mitigate voting power. So that's what do you call that? It's like it's a process. It's not it's a tool attribute. It's something, some feature of DAOs that other DAOs can say, oh yeah, we're going to adopt this, that the FreeOS has created. It's kind of like open source, right?
Well, that's one of the things that we're doing is we're, you know, under the free DAO umbrella, we're making all of these tools available open source. The mantra for free DAO is pretty broad in general. We're building tools of collaboration and freedom, whatever form that might come out. And our first focus was to build a tool of financial freedom. That's where FreeOS came about. But we intend on building other tools of collaboration and freedom. But as we're building out our free DAO and also FreeOS, the intention is to, well, and also the execution, because we're actually doing it, is to make sure that all of these things are open source and they're freely available for any other DAO to you know, borrow, steal, learn from, anything like that, so that we can you know, help lift up each other, you know, as a large collective human unit.
I also think I might add that you know, under the hood of these DAOs, we can also add systems like Chronicle, for example, just as an example, is an oracle to help support information sharing really within the larger ecosystem. So even though it's not an overt thing about governance or voting or, you know, governing the DAO, there are things that can happen within DAOs that help build stronger ecosystems between DAOs.
Yeah,
you might want to say something.
Yeah,
about
maybe.
Chronicle?
Well, maybe. Yeah. Now Dan just brought up Chronicle. You're probably wondering what that means. So Chronicle we received a grant from the Dfinity Foundation, and it was to explore a cross-chain solution for FreeOS, so FreeOS could be cross-chain. And so we finished that grant, and the work that we did was actually very promising. And so what we're now extending this development work and creating an Oracle and cross-chain solution that is, it's a DAO as well. It's an Oracle as a DAO. And strangely enough, it's kind of powered a bit by the FreeOS economic system, because what we've done is that we've tied every vote and every action that a participant does in the FreeOS DApp, it triggers, we call it a tick function. We already do this at the moment with FreeOS, where you know, when somebody claims or somebody mints or somebody votes, it all triggers off a tick function. And that tick function processes a bunch of other, you know, say automatic unstaking. If somebody's unstaking that week, we process as many unstakes as we can by every tick function. And the next person that does a tick function, it processes even more. So what we did is we tied that to an Oracle system using some novel features of the Dfinity chain to take API data and stamp the price of Bitcoin on chain via the same tick process. So that every action that people are doing, and we've got, you know, thousands of people doing actions all the time in the FreeOS DApp, it's ticking off all of these Bitcoin stamping on chain. And the premise behind this is that if we can do this, we can do we can bring in other data. And now there's a Dfinity is allowing cross-chain signing. So it's supporting in a very trustless, decentralized way, the ability to sign transactions on other blockchains. So this the same tick applied to that allows us to put our votes on other chains. So the results of the vote on say the Cardano version of FreeOS could be on the Ethereum or the Dfinity versions of FreeOS, and therefore we can see and collect all the votes every week, and we can have one large ecosystem, cross ecosystem vote that represents what everybody wants in the entire cross-chain FreeOS system to make a true cross-chain DApp.
Yeah, I might just add to that the notion of these signing algorithms is not quite universal. There are some standards emerging. There's a couple of standards that are being well adopted. Some chains like I think Polkadot are allowing multiple signing algorithms, but these things are in evolution, and it's not just going to be immediate that they're all the cross-chain solutions are all there, but at least in developing a Chronicle solution to begin that, then we can expand as the signing algorithms become more standard.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So at the moment, Dfinity supports the ECDSA signing algorithm, but the EDDSA one is the next one in their sites, and that would allow Cardano to be included, and Solana as well, and a few other chains that use that standard.
A standard signing solution. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're looking at we're also looking at this Oracle to be a DAO in its own rights. So when it has, say, slashing penalties or validator incentives or anything like that, it would be managed by a DAO as well. So it's an Oracle as a DAO, powered by the FreeOS DAO, and developed by the FreeDAO DAO. It's DAOs all the way down.
I think this is a little bit confusing. I mean, honestly, I haven't learned enough about our own work in this area with Chronicle, but I think the notion here is that there are things under the hood that are operating and adding value that you don't really have an open engagement with as a member, unless you want to be a member of the Chronicle DAO, for example.
That's right. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that sometimes this gets a little bit cloudy just because a lot of it's under the hood, and it's hard to talk about. But that's why I kind of emphasize this notion of building system solutions, because those system solutions allow the experts in the area to build a Chronicle DAO that can begin to be trusted because it is providing value to the rest of the ecosystem.
And there's accountability, so that allows it to be trusted as well.
Right.
If you have your, with a human system like a DAO, because a DAO is not just purely blockchain, it's got the human component. And so the way that I always look at the lens of designing a DAO is, what kind of accountability systems do you build in to make sure that the human component is as trustworthy as possible?
I guess thank you all for tolerating the Colorado bluegrass in the background, and maybe the crowd is getting more. We have a wonderful restaurant called Buff where you can come and eat in the buff. We're dressed at the moment, but
we didn't want to shock you guys too much.
What? a nudist restaurant, Boulder. Come on, Boulder.
He's joking.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I do think they've got that down in Key West. There's a it's called the Garden of Eden. Get it?
Oh yeah.
Hey, so there is some stuff going on in the chat. And Harsha has his hand raised. I do want to sort of summarize that and give folks that are listening this idea of an oracle and sort of the DAO structure sort of permeating, etc. Let's hear from Harsha.
I just wanted to bring the conversation to the part where we can build all these beautiful governance mechanisms and all of that, but bringing people to the mechanisms and making them be able to use it is a matter of UX design. And there is an organization called Social Design Academy that's working on it. Oh, wait a minute. I think Niels is here. Oh, awesome. Hey, Niels, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you want to bring UX to bring about governance models and helping DAOs and stuff like that?
Can you guys hear me?
We got you.
Okay. Let me see if I can turn on a camera.
Yeah, I do think that I will just vamp for a second. The idea, because there's so much thought, there's so much immense what was the quote that we started off with? Immense intelligence inside of a community, and that's like a powerful engine. And I feel like UX is the transmission to get it to the ground. Having a good suspension and just to be able to transfer that knowledge power into everyday use, which is what I think that Harsha is sort of explaining. And Nils is a UX person. This is what I know about you, Nils. Is a UX person that has been in the community for a while and has an organization called the Social Design Academy. And I'll hand it over to you, Nils.
Yeah, thanks. I've been in Catalyst since September 16th. I saw it in 2020. I think that's
wow.
The first when I got in contact with it. I've been thinking a lot about the remediation of our front-end UI for blockchain, because I don't think page-based design and fluid money are not a match in heaven. So I have this proposal for DAOs to create a conversational UI toolkit for DAOs. And conversational design is not so much voice. It can also be chat. So to start easier, it could be chat modules. Within the Social Design Academy, I have 3 pillars. We need to rethink how we create brands in the distributed space or decentralized space. We need to rethink our software. So how can we create public interest technology? Because 90% of the software is built for commerce. I think we can use software for social innovation. And the last one is the way we work. We tend to be very have this colonial mindset about who owns stuff and who makes the money. And the third step in that is to thinking commons. And I really like what Dan and his partner said about the tools for freedom, more or less, right? DAOs are tools for freedom. So leveling up UX and UI in the Cardano ecosystem is something that's true to my heart, but the first like 16 months I've been rethinking how to redo software design for blockchain instead of using my old, let's call it my old skills of e-commerce platform design. So that's where I'm now. I'm doing a Fund 6 in-wallet onboarding for ADA holders proposal, which uses this chat technology to build interfaces for wallets, creating a conversational wallet, because we separate education, application, and hospitality in our wallets, which means that my family and friends are not able to use that stuff because if they open up a wallet, they see create wallet, and then they think, then what, right? They don't have the knowledge. And the same applies to DAOs. I mean, you could have the greatest idea for your DAO, you could have the greatest tools, but if you don't know how to attract people, and I think attract is the word we need here, attract people to causes, to just causes, to real social innovation, we need brands and interfaces that are so easy to use and so attractive that people stream in. And yeah, I have a visual about how this works, but I don't want to pull too much attention here. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I can put the Social Design Academy Discord in chat if that's allowed.
Please do. Yep, please do. And thank you for that introduction. I do want to be mindful of the time, and I also want to bring up Scott. Scott, do you have something for on this thread or on another thread?
I mean, I was just trying to, like, I asked like 5 questions about FreeOS and then get a single response to any of them.
Yeah, they may or they may not be sort of on the chat. Yeah, let's go through them. Yeah.
I was just curious about the white paper, if there's a white paper, if the white paper outlines the governance of the DAO and also the tokenomics, who created, or if there's a paper on it that outlines the tokenomics of the DAO. I don't know if y'all have that available, but if you do, I'd love to read through it.
We do.
Tokenomics is actually something I'm very interested in.
We do, and it's available on our website, freeos.io, which is up in the chat further. Now, that being said, the white paper needs to be updated. It's very overdue, a big update. There's been a lot of new additions and features to the tokenomics that aren't in the white paper, but the white paper covers probably the main ones that you'd find in the next iteration of FreeOS, which is the governance phase. That's the MVP version of the governance phase, which should be rolling out in August. There's a whole pile of new tokenomics that, like, I covered the one that I said Dan wasn't aware of, where you can vote on to boost your voting power by burning some of your tokens. That one's not in the white paper, for instance. Another really
Chronicle stuff in the white paper.
There's no well, the Chronicle one will get its own white paper. Yeah. It's yeah, it needs its own distinct white paper. Probably the best place to find a lot of our talks on tokenomics at the moment is our Medium articles. So if you look up free DAO in Medium, you'll find probably our latest thinking on where the protocol is going. It's a work in progress, and we're learning new things along the way. we're really trying to think about, at least for FreeOS, mechanisms that really can support the community to uphold and maybe even grow the value of the token. So most of the voting is on a monetary policy that affects either supply or demand. So like the boost feature that I talked about is a demand and supply feature, where you can now, if you vote that on, it allows people to boost using their FreeOS tokens, their voting power. And that means that, you know, people who really want to have a say might be going and purchasing more tokens to have that say for something they really, really care about at that particular moment. And that means it affects the supply, but also it reduces, because those tokens get burned when they boost it, it also reduces the demand. It affects the demand, or sorry, the supply of the token, not the demand.
So you have one token for your community, right? You got the FreeOS token.
We have 3 tokens for our community, actually. Yeah.
Would you mind just briefly explaining their utility for those 3?
Yeah.
We don't have to go into a lot of depth. I'm just curious on what those 3 or 4. And also one more question before you answer that is, how do you earn or gain this voting weight?
Yeah, it's hard not to go into the depth here.
It's hard not to go into weeds. There are 3 different tokens. There's what's called points, which are non-transferable tokens.
So they're the tokens in your pocket. You don't give them away. They're in your pocket.
Well, they're almost like super glued to your pocket.
Yeah, right.
So the points are what you actually earn. This covers what you're earning. You vote to earn. And that's not true at the moment, because we're in the airplane phase, but when we hit the governance phase in August, that will be true. You vote in order to earn. So you voting on the monetary policy is kind of like your job. It's what you do every week. And if you do your job, you earn. And you earn these points, which are non-transferable. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. No, that's fine. That's fine. So we're talking about the tokenomics of FreeOS. And Kevin, I see that you've got something to share. If you can hold off for just a second. I do want to be mindful of the time, and we'll come right back to the tokenomics while they do their thing there in Colorado. Unless you know what, Kevin, go ahead if you don't mind. We'll come right back. We'll come right back to you.
Do this guy.
Colorado.
Yeah, it's a question about, I've noticed that a number of DAOs were attacked through governance attacks, whereby an attacker accumulates a number of governance tokens and then executes a vote in favor of whatever transfer. The latest being Beanstalk DAO, in which I think $182 million was drained from the community wallet. So what are your thoughts about how to prevent such a governance attack for a DAO? If anyone has, or we can reserve that for another time.
You know, Kevin, because I love that question, I threw in the 3 loves. We're going to come back to that one. And we can also answer it in our Telegram. Please come and join the Telegram. This is a perfect segue because we cannot do it all today. You can also answer that question on in Idea Scale, Miro Board, which we're going to try to get to where everyone can edit it, and Telegram. These are all the ways that you can reconnect with us, the DAOs Love Cardano Challenge Team, and also we also want to give special thanks to our sponsor and who are holding the space, the Project Catalyst School. So let's get back in the minutes that we have left. Let's get back to Dan and Jerome, who are talking about they're answering Scott's question about the tokenomics of the FreeOS. And they were talking about points, which is something that they earn from doing their weekly votes, which is sort of like the job. Okay, take it away, Colorado.
Yeah, so So yeah, every week you earn points for your participation in the voting process. So voting on the monetary policy is your job. You're kind of like a backyard economist. That's your job. And even if you don't know very much about economics at first, because it's weekly iteration over time, you know, we expect people to start to understand a bit more about what they're doing. And our DApp is going to be designed with a front end that improves that educational process over time. It's a little bit like jumping into a game of, you know, Age of Empires or Civilization, where it's overly complicated at first, but because you're doing it over and over and over again, you start to understand it. And it's in your economic best interest to understand it, because what you do every week affects the value that you have in your pocketbook. So that's kind of the premise behind it. You know, and we're leveraging wisdom of the crowd combined with iteration over time and a monetary policy that affects supply and demand vectors in, you know, fairly creative ways to do so.
Yeah, and I might just add that is kind of the people side of protecting or engaging in the FreeOS economic system, but there are also some non-people sides of it that I'm sure you'll talk about, which is a continuation of this tokenomics around freebie as an internal currency.
I was going to get into freebie.
Yeah, of course, we need to, and then the external currency FreeOS, which is the global one. I just wanted to kind of set the context.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was just about to jump into freebie. So once you earn your points, because they're non-transferable, you can't really do anything with them. The only thing you can do with them is mint them. So you as an individual get your points, and you know, if everybody all participates every week, everybody gets the same amount of points, and then they can mint them. Now your choice is, what do you mint them into? Do you mint them into, we got two different tokens. One token is called freebie, and it doesn't cost anything to mint. The only caveat is that you can only send freebie to other FreeOS participants. So anybody who's been registered in the ledger, the FreeOS, you know, smart contract ledger, as being a participant, is the only person you can send this to. It's got a limited transfer function.
And it's not just sending, it could be spending within the community. So you could, someone in the community could contribute some value for which they get paid in freebie.
That's right. Yeah. So we have a freebie oriented marketplace that's kind of protected. It's like a little walled garden marketplace inside the FreeOS economy. It's spelled like free, like freedom, and then BI, like basic income. So freebie, BI is a way to spell it. And so this is the internal protected, you know, coin of the FreeOS system, and it's kind of inspired a bit by M-Pesa, the mobile phone digital currency that's mostly in Africa. Where, you know, if you provide this kind of currency in people's hands, then they get creative enough to ask their, you know, their market, the local marketplace, whether they'll take it. And that's how M-Pesa got started. It was, you know, you could transfer your mobile points to each other, and somebody said, hey, I don't have any money for this bag of rice. Would you accept my mobile points? And it became realized that this could be used as a currency. It spread like wildfire, and then start to get supported by the mobile phone networks in Africa. So we're looking at freebie a bit through that lens. Now with FreeOS, there's actually a mint fee.
So you can mint from your points into freebie or to FreeOS.
Yeah,
so now we're getting into FreeOS.
But
right?
FreeOS requires a mint fee. And this is patterned a little bit by learnings from, say, the Bitcoin, you know, miners in Bitcoin, how they have a sunk cost, electricity cost, or a hardware cost that they need to, you know, reinvest back in to keep the system going. And that amount of investment of time and energy and physical hardware becomes a bit of a consensual price support system for the Bitcoin currency, where the miners, especially in the early days of Bitcoin, weren't willing to sell it for less than it costs them to mine it. Also, modern monetary theory has this idea that a lot of floating fiat-based currencies, which the whole world now uses, is backed by the power of taxation. So because we need to use taxes, everybody has to pay their taxes in the currency of choice. That becomes a bit of a base use case, creates base demand for the currency, and all other vectors of demand are just layers above the tax layer, so that it's another model that we're using for our the reason why we need this mint fee to uphold the value of Freos. But because Freos and freebie have this correlation where you can mint your freebie or your points into Freos after you pay the mint fee, there's this kind of indirect kind of correlation between the price of freebie, which is more unrestricted, and the price of Freos, which is more restricted.
So this is more kind of like a qualified or a community-oriented and a community-decided hodling, right? Hodling of the currency such that it helps protect the price.
That's right. Like if a lot of people can't afford the mint fee because it has to be paid up front and there's a minimum mint fee required, then they might be more willing to just mint into freebie and just buy and sell amongst the Freos community, which is good in the early days when the economy is growing. And it needs a little bit more of a protective layer, like a chick, growing inside of an egg.
So which of these tokens, sorry, Newman, which of these tokens is actually used for voting itself then?
Good question.
There's no tokens used for voting. It's one person, one vote.
Yeah, it might be your identity as your vote or your token, so to speak. Yeah.
Except for the case of boosting your vote, which is something that the community can vote on, whether they turn it on or turn it off, and how much that boost power, they want to allot. And again, that particular vote is not subject to boosting. So they can turn the community, one person, one vote can turn it off in a heartbeat if they think the whales are getting a little bit too much power in the system for now.
Which, real quick on that, which you said the boosting is turned on and that requires a burn. That burns which token? And also the follow-up to that is you said the community can turn it off, but couldn't somebody just turn it right back on? And then also, how do you get around like bad actors like colluding on that?
Okay.
Yeah,
it's one person, one vote, so that's important. It takes a week to enact any monetary policy, so you can't just turn it on and then turn it off. You have to wait at least a week. It has to be the majority of people wanting to turn back on the boosting after they decided the week before they wanted to turn it off. And there might be a reason for that. Maybe they're trying to create a little bit of volatility in the market to attract traders. So they're like, I'm going to turn it off this week, turn it on that week, turn it off this week. It creates a bit of volatility in the market. And traders like volatility, and they like to be able to predict what kind of volatility they get. So maybe we're trying to attract traders. We're not really trying to attract whales. We're semi-attracting whales to attract traders. That can be a strategy of the community in order to, make a more dynamic system that pulls people in, if that's what they want.
All right. I am mindful of the time. I love having to break off a super incredible conversation. This has been like, the time has flown by. I think that we achieved our goal of getting into substantive work around these topics. I feel really, really happy. I think this was a really great success. I'm looking forward to going back over it. I'm looking forward to connecting with each of you in our other channels. I also want to say big thank you to Project Catalyst School for hosting us here and providing the room. Let's have a final thought and then we'll sign off. Thank you so much, y'all.
Thanks.
My final thought is just I'm minting an NFT here with Dan. Our
Nice.
boy, he's like the power behind DAOs.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone. It's great to see you. Great to meet you, Kevin. Take it easy, everybody.
Oh yeah,
Great to see
Kevin.
you.
Yeah, please post your question in the chat. I would love to do some research on that because I haven't really looked into the DAO hacks that you mentioned.
Attacks.
Maybe you have
Yeah.
a link or something that would be really amazing.
Okay, thank you all. Talk to you all soon.
Bye. See you later.
Bye-bye.
See you, Dylan. Bye, Nels.
Well, if any of you are at consensus, I guess if any of you are at consensus, Jerome and I are going to be there if you want to meet up.
Well, I unfortunately won't, but
yeah.
too far.
Simon, will you save the chat or you do the recording stuff? And is that all handled?
Yes, let's stop.